Hey there, I'm Lord Farquaad,
And I'm Dev34.
and we're back to give you another update on Survival Island, our upcoming Just Cause 3 multiplayer server. First and foremost, we still cannot give a date for the public beta until the 1.1 update for Just Cause 3 multiplayer drops.
What we're going to be talking about this update, we're going to be addressing some of the concerns you guys have had about what kinds of things will be in the server. Specifically, we'll be discussing the differences and similarities between Survival Island and Fallen Civilization. Fallen Civilization, for those of you who don't know, is our Just Cause 2 multiplayer survival server. We'll be referring to Fallen Civilization as FC from now on. For the general plans and gameplay, we're going to launch the open beta as soon as possible so we can get lots of feedback. This means that not everything will be ready at this time. It'll be somewhat bare bones, but still very playable. This time is meant to test and perfect our core systems: inventory, loot, vehicles, character, item usage, etc. We're going to be monitoring all these systems very closely to see if any problems arise. We don't currently have a set length for the beta. We'll keep it in beta as long as we feel it's necessary.
Back in FC, the maximum level was 200. You could earn experience by looting, killing, and destroying people's builds. Every few levels, you would gain more inventory space, but eventually that stopped and the levels were basically useless. Players didn't feel that gaining levels was meaningful. I think the system had potential, but the way we implemented it was wrong. Here's what we're thinking this time around. More inventory space to start. A lot of players complained in the beginning of the game that they couldn't hold all the items they were looting, and that progression was really slow. We're amping it up this time and giving you plenty of inventory space to start with. As for levels, right now we're thinking of 20 as the maximum level. There might be other progression mechanics past that, such as prestiges, but nothing is certain yet. It's going to take a while to gain new levels, but when you do, there will be definitive rewards that feel meaningful, such as more inventory space, more vehicle slots, more storage slots, and so on. Every level you're going to get something, and it's meant to feel worthwhile. Our intent for levels is for it to be one of the many goals that players can strive towards.
There have been some inventory layout updates. You might have seen the previous update video that we only have 4 categories of items. In FC, we had 6 categories of items, and that was too much. Now we've consolidated the categories into survival, utility, weaponry, and cosmetics. It should be much easier for new players to figure out which items belong in which categories. We've also completely redone exactly how the inventory looks compared to our previous attempts. The items aren't colored by their rarity, which makes the inventory look like a rainbow. Instead, they are normally a semi-transparent black, but have specific colors for special items. A couple of examples of this are green for health restoring items and blue for food items. This will help players know which items do what at a glance. In FC, the inventory and loot module had a lot of issues. The overall code base for it was bad, and it was client authoritative. This means that it trusted the client when changes were made, and it was somewhat vulnerable to hackers. In Survival Island, we use a server authoritative system, which is much more secure because the server handles everything. Another lapse in security was that we never fully encrypted all the possible venues for attack on the inventory.
In FC, we thought that it would be a good idea to use a currency system called credits. People could use credits to buy vehicles and other things. However, this system was not good because it wasn't integrated with the item system at all. This time, we're going to use Bavarium as currency, and it's an actual item that can be found in loot. Bavarium can be used to buy vehicles and will have other uses in the future.
For the vehicle system, we think that overall in FC it was a success. The vehicle system we have on Survival Island is very similar to the one we had on FC, but with a few differences. For one, you have to buy vehicles to use them, and vehicles cost Bavarium to unlock. Your owned vehicles also don't automatically spawn when you join the server. Instead, you have to manually click spawn in your vehicles menu.
We're also planning on adding more movement mechanics to the game, just like we did in FC. One system that did not work very well in FC was the stamina system. It unnecessarily limited movement and made it less fun overall to move around. Therefore, Survival Island will not have stamina. We will be using the base game wingsuit in some capacity, but it will be difficult to acquire and be limited in use. For combat situations, we will likely implement a mechanic that causes a player's parachute or grapple hook to stop while they're using it if they take damage. This lets attackers gain an edge if they are able to hit their enemies.
For the weapons system, most of the weapons that are available in Just Cause 3 will also be available in Survival. However, rocket launchers and rocket ammo will be extremely rare. All of the different types of rocket launchers are extremely powerful, so we want to limit them to only legendary tier items from supply crates. Supply crates are going to be a core part of the server because they would be the only way to obtain legendary tier items for the time being. We also plan on adding many more usable weapons, such as mines, airstrikes, missiles, nukes, grenades, planted explosives, and more. Let us know what you want in our public issue tracker. The link to it can be found in the description.
FC's crafting system had a lot of issues, and we have seriously thought about if we should even have a crafting system. As of right now, a crafting system is very likely in Survival Island. The way that it would work is completely different though. You wouldn't have to go to find tons of different raw materials to craft stuff. There will be a decrafting part of the menu that allows you to break down items in order to make other items. We'll talk more about this new crafting system in a future update.
Building is one of the biggest parts of a survival experience in any game, and one of the things that people look forward to the most. When Survival Island goes into open beta, we will not have building. We want to make sure our core modules, such as inventory and loot, are working well first before we add more features. However, when building comes, we are going to make sure to test it thoroughly before it hits the main server. Our plans for the building system are different from that of FC. In FC, we started working on a land claim system, but then switched to a free build system early on. This caused a lot of different problems for players, and this time we're going to use a land claim only system. You must use a land claim item to claim an area of land, and then you can place objects and build on it. As for rating, our plans are very tentative at this point. One thing that I don't think we did well at all in FC was making every weapon damage builds. This time, we're going to only allow certain weapons to damage builds, such as rocket launchers and planted explosives. This will make rating more linear and make bases safer overall. We might also introduce other rating techniques in the future through other items. We'll have another video covering building more in depth once the time comes.
Cursed zones in FC were another point of controversy. Some people liked them, some people didn't like them. If you don't know what cursed zones are, they're basically high risk / reward zones. There are lots of dangerous things that can kill you, such as meteors and traps, but the loot there is a lot better than normal. Our plans for Cursed are slightly different this time around. We're planning to expand Cursed gameplay beyond just the zones, but we will begin with just one zone. We've got big plans, and we can't wait to share them with you. Stay tuned for more details in another update video.
To close off the video, as we said earlier, we can't announce a release date yet for the server. However, we can say that it will release very early on in 2018. Once the 1.1 update to Just Cause 3 multiplayer drops, we'll be able to give you a release date. More details on a lot of these systems can be found in our public issue tracker. As always, if you want to stay updated, you can join our Discord, Steam group, and Facebook page. Our Discord is the best way to get quick responses to questions you might have. That's all for this video. Stay tuned for our beta announcement video.